dropping a bang.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space. How you doing today, Mr. Lovelace? Oh, and Mrs. Lovelace.
That's right. That's right. Hey guys, we are back from Florida. We did not. I did not get a chance to connect with Joey Noble. So Joey, forgive me. I guess I'm gonna have to take another trip to Miami because I got to come see you. I have no idea what's going on in the community this week because I've been in Florida. So I'm gonna rely on Quida. Real quick, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Chap. I'm host, co-host of Shared Space with Quida and Chap. Um, I am Vice President of PowerFest Baltimore. You can check us out at powerfestbaltimore.org. I partner with breadcoin.org in the community. We help connect people with food access with dignity. And my partner, Quita. Introduce yourself.
Hello, hello, hello. So I am Laquita Chansey. I'm the founder and director of Baltimore Homes, and I'm all about restoring redlined communities, and we build tiny homes and micro shelters for folks who are unhoused. And right now, we're working on a digital equity project. Walk with a Doc is back, so you guys got to come out to Lake Montebello every Sunday at 9. Um, Food, produce distribution all over the city. We're in a bunch of things. The weather's getting nice, Chap. I know we're gonna have to go back over to West Baltimore soon and get that area cleaned up. But while we're doing introductions, Brandy, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks. I'm Brandy Hope Loveless, Chap's wife. I'm an emergency room nurse in Baltimore City. I don't even know. I'm a wild woman, you know. I just got back from beautiful sunny Florida, 80 degrees, completely perfect, gorgeous, everything. To I'm like, what? It was not this cold when I left here. It was not this cold when I left here. This is shenanigans. So my poor body's a little confused, a little confused. Though
Well, what
I'm okay.
I would like to
Yours and
welcome
mine
my
both.
Yeah,
Go
I'd,
ahead,
I'd like
Chap.
to welcome my wife to the show. We're just coming off of Black History Month, and we're actually wrapping up Women's History Month, and really cool part of Baltimore history, and women's history significantly, is that in 2005, Brandy was part of a group of women who were skating at Skateland and revived. I think inspired by a couple other cities that were also doing it, but what revived roller derby in Baltimore, and so she was part of the original. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2005 Charm City Roller Girls got established as an LLC. They're still thriving. They're still going. At one point, they were down at Duburn's Arena every Saturday, and so it's really interesting when I reconnected with Brandy as my friend growing up in Baltimore before we were married and partners in life. She took me to a couple of these events, and I was just like family friendly violence. It was really great. Everybody's a character. The competition was great, and it was a really cool experience. And so we invited Brandy on the show today to kind of talk about that. What did it look like reviving this sport specifically in Baltimore? The kind of and I'll comment real quick before she talks is that what I was really interesting to me as just totally green to this culture and community was that the women who were dedicated were skating, practicing, 3, 4 nights a week. They're skating on Saturday nights. But these were professional women. Talking about an ER nurse, you're talking about lawyers and doctors, and like it wasn't just girls with nothing better to do. These were highly competitive, successful women in life throwing down on the track, and so it was really exciting to see that and understand that context of the skating. So, Brandy, if you want to share, some of your experience, Mike is yours.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it was a really interesting period in time for me. I personally had just come off of my father had passed away, and I was going through a divorce. So there was a lot of emotional turmoil, and I was looking for something, right? And for me, I've always, loved the violent sports. And as a woman, you know, growing up, I'm not in the younger generation, but what they allowed for us, the violent sports was like I played field hockey, I played basketball, I did all these types of, things, and I always played, co-ed with boys and things like this, and I always gravitated to very physical, right? And I've been roller skating since I was 3. Down at Gardenville Recreation Center is where it started out for me. And I am better on wheels than I am on feet. And I never learned to ride a bike. So when I saw an article saying, hey, we've just established this and we're doing tryouts, come on out, I was like, oh, yeah, this speaks to me. I'm like, skates, violence, girls, why not? And it was the league was like in its infancy when I came in. Um, they had, I got on the league and I saw my first game, and I was there for the number 2 game is when I started, and it was amazing. I saw all these women, and like Dave said, I skated with all kinds of different ladies. We skated with, you know, people that were doing like big things in life, and we were skating with women that were, you know, just amazing athletes. Some were there were just fun. It was
Yeah.
all different interesting things, right? And at first, it was very campy and cool. We had teams. You know, I'm looking at some of the pictures that are hanging on my wall right now. Um, I used to have 2 long braids and my helmet. I would chew gum, and like they've got so many pictures of me with big bubbles. I ended up coaching the boys because some ladies weren't okay with it because they were a little apprehensive about men in roller derby because finally women had a place where they could be a strong woman with a whatever kind of body type. I am not a petite
Right.
woman, never gonna be. I'm 5'9" and I've got a big ass, and it was celebrated and it was great. There was nothing in
Right.
the world like being able to swing my hips and knock someone on their ass and then have someone be like,
Right.
yeah. I was
And
like,
being appreciated. So let me ask you this.
exactly.
So I don't know enough about roller derby besides what I've seen on TV. Like, of course,
Mhm.
like girl
Sure.
power. If it's an all
Yeah.
woman movie, I'm watching it, right? So I've seen like 3 or 4 roller derby movies. So
Right.
how many people are on a team? And when you're practicing, is it like football and there's like, like handoffs and flags, or are you checking those hips in practice? Like, tell me a little, let's dig in.
Sure. So what they originally did, so back in the day, they had the bank track, right? So it's this huge track they've got to set up and all this big space. So some computer genius took this big track and they shrunk it down so they could be on a flat surface and have the same, I guess, circumference or physics or what have you, right? So that it was more accessible. You could put this anywhere, right? You could do it outside. You could do it at, skate rinks. I skated at Shake and Bake. I've skated at Do Burns. We put tracks down at the Armory down over off Dolphin. It's, all kinds of stuff, right? So that was the number one thing is like taking the actual physical space and making it happen. And the volunteers, let me tell you, it was like an army of volunteers. It took some stuff to get this done. And we did all kinds of stuff, to raise funds, whether it be car washing, whether it be, you know, just some crazy things, man. It was great. And just to see like people have such um, inspiration to go and,
Yeah,
say, hey, let's do this.
I was going to say
Right.
the passion, Brandy, and part of the cool part about volunteering was you got to hang out with all these like pseudo celebrity hot chicks, and you got free beer when you helped clean up. So it was like win-win, right? But people are
Jack
really
was like,
passionate.
sign me up.
Yeah, people are really passionate about the sport. I'm telling you. Even I'll describe it to. It's not a good. I don't think it's a good analogy because the derby is so unique. But as a lay person coming into the community and culture, I would equate it to for you, Quita, and other people not familiar. it was almost like wrestling, and just in the part where like people had their pseudo, like, their alter egos, right? Like Brandy at home was, Brandy, and on the tracks, her name was Mibs Breaking Ribs, and so Mibs Breaking Ribs was a an exaggeration of a personality that was part of Brandy, but it was just that personality on the track. And and so, like, Hulk Hogan isn't Hulk Hogan at home, right? You know what I mean? Like, he's
Right.
not like, ugh, but that personality comes to life on the track and through the sport and the experience. And so, like, Brandy had some super fans, and me at the time, we were just friends hanging out. Our relationship was evolving. I had to, I was Brandy's, friend, not Mibs Breaking Ribs' person, right? So it was like I had to back off a little and watch. But when I tell you, it was really great. Being with her in that experience, because we would travel. She traveled all over the nation. Did you go overseas? Were you able to go overseas skating? But they traveled a lot, and everywhere you went, people knew the skaters. People
Right.
knew Mibs Breaking Ribs and knew these other skaters. They had fans across the nation they didn't even know about, and it was like, just as a volunteer running around with them, um, it was just really amazing experience for me. Kind of sidelined or in the background, just watching things. And so, Brandy, that's something I wanted to address with you, is like your name, Mibs Breaking Ribs. If you want to unpack that, and kind of explain some of the characters that would show up on the track compared to the women behind the characters, right?
But
And
wait,
the
you know
announcers.
what? I want to tap into the fact that you guys are going all over the nation. Like, this is before Instagram, this is before
Oh yeah,
Facebook, and you have fans all over. Like, that's pretty
MySpace was
amazing. Let's
yeah,
not just
MySpace was in its
skate
infancy, so
over
it was,
that.
yeah, that's significant. You're right.
You see what I did there?
I did. I like that. I like what you did there. We had
Well, yeah.
we have so when I did it, it was called WFTA, WFTDA. It was Women's Flat Track Derby Association. So there's actually an association that we did. So you registered your name. My name was an attribute my Grammy, who I live with for years, most of my life. Her real name was Mabel, and they called her Mibs. And I legitimately broke my mother's ribs in utero. So it just made sense. Like, I came out kicking and screaming and been doing it ever since. So, it worked out. My name, if we had fun names, and it was fun to be able to come up with something, that was again, an alter ego. You know, Mibs is who I was and am, and I'm still known to hip check somebody, whether it be someone in my home or other, still happens. But it's always cute to see how Dave, through his eyes. But you know, through roller derby, I think the game itself, was it fast? Yes. Was it evolving? Yes. Were we learning as we went? Were we trying to figure out? Some people were there for fun. Some people wanted to be more professional, and it was in its infancy, and it was a new territory where, again, it was celebrated to be a strong woman, right? And we had all kinds of different people. And exposing yourself to somebody that's different than you was such an amazing experience, because we had, for me, I skated with trans athletes. I've skated with, people that dated same sex, or people that had, different ethnicities and different
Right.
things, and that was amazing for me. I
Right.
had
I
no.
mean, well, it's a safe space, right? Like, your
Exactly.
bodies are allowed. Any abled body or disabled body is allowed to
Mhm,
come and support, no
mhm.
matter color, creed, nationality. Like, that's beautiful. So you were
It
already
was.
embracing it before it was popular, right?
It was so cool. Really, it was. It was so cool, and it was like, for me, a lot of us talked about, like, saying, like, this is my cheaper therapy and things like this. We all had things to work out, right? Um, I had my own business in roller derby. We determined a space where we could do a small business, where we did a skate shop. I actually I had a skate shop called Black Susan Skate Shop, which, funny.
Tell me more. Black Eyed Susan, Maryland's flower, right?
Can you see that?
Oh, look at how pretty. Yes.
My cousin actually, she just gave me this for, I'm backwards women.
Yeah, we can see it.
So
That's
that was
so cool.
our little skate shop there. And what we did, we didn't have a bricks and mortars. We actually had a skate shop where we were fitting women and men for skates and pads and things like this because we had a need. It was a niche market, but it was, being able to do that. And for me, that was the first time like I had so much empowerment from doing this. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I had artistic women and I had strong women and I had like, you know, I had gorgeous women that we played with and it was
Right.
like watching the athleticism and being able to do these things. And then
Right.
again, like I coached boys when it first came out. They would call themselves a Harm City Homicide, which was ridiculous and hilarious, right? And most of these guys were just such sweet, gentle kind of guys anyway. But it was fun because it was one of these things where I still got to kick ass, you know, and
Yeah.
one of our referees, his name was Justice Feelgood Marshall, and he was one of the inspirations to actually have, male roller derby. And
Mm.
he was about this big. He's an African American man who wore tights and a skirt, and he got more tail from women than most, right? So it was like this whole questioning, like, what is, but he was
What's
wonderful.
going
Like him and I
on?
had such a
Yeah.
great time together, right? Um,
Right.
I used to smoke cigarettes back then so Justice and I would be out having a cigarette and laughing about it. We're hauling tail around the track, like just tearing things up. You could have a cigarette and laugh about it. I'm like, how am I doing this?
Mm.
But, you know, it really was an amazing time to see all these different people like launching themselves and trying to figure things out and being celebrated for being unique. That was what I loved. I
Yeah.
am loud and boisterous and I love team sports and I love physical violence, in that setting, competition wise.
Right. Right.
I've loved
Controlled.
In
football
the
and all,
proper
what I mean,
context.
all my
Yeah.
life, right? It's
Right. She loves those contact sports. We can
yes,
tell.
right. And it was like being able and allowed to be strong was the most empowering thing for me. And again, I said personally, I had a lot of turmoil that I was working through. And I didn't even
Yeah.
realize how much I needed that space to be
Right.
a wild woman and to celebrate who you are,
Yeah. I
and
think
I
that's one of the beautiful things about reflection and
mhm,
introspection. Like, it's like I didn't even realize I needed this space in order for me
mhm,
to grow. And I grew in so many ways. And in some cases, it's
mhm.
like, wow, I didn't even go through growing pains. It wasn't even like painful. It was nothing but, nurturing and people pouring into me. So, and that's what I hear this as, aside from what you may have been going through otherwise.
Mhm.
It sounds like it was like the perfect little ecosystem for you, right?
It was really, I feel like it was a launching board, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
truly right before I had like gone into this, like so much had changed in my life. And at the end of like my time in roller derby, I had found a new confidence. I decided to go back to school. I became a nurse. Dave and I became romantically involved, which was comical. He was always my friend. And I was like, I was like, skate fast, like you're not gonna catch me kind of thing. Like I just got my heart broke from my former relationship. Good luck trying to catch me. I'm just gonna smash people and that's gonna be my joy. And here Mr. Man sneaks in. He's like, "Hey, I'm your friend. I'll help you." Literally, the man sold. He helped when I was skating. He would help man our table, and that shirt I just showed you, or that picture I showed you, was actually a shirt. And Dave used to wear the shirts and help sell items and this that while we're playing. And the one day he literally sold the shirt off his back to some one of the fans. It was hilarious. So, I mean, it was great, it was a great scene. It was, our one referee, he was so funny. He said, "It's like having 50 girlfriends all at the same time, going on their period."
I was just going to add
Mhm.
that.
It
Not to
was
be crude, but you guys are you guys are practicing all the time. You spend so much
Mhm.
time together. Brandy would
Mhm.
joke sometimes that a random Tuesday night practice just turned to everybody sitting and crying and talking it out, right?
I mean, it was such a, like, to this day, I retired from roller derby back in,
2012.
yeah, I think that was it. And you know, was it 2012 or 20? Yeah. So I still have dear friends that I made, like lifelong friends. Two of my pals that I did the skate shop with were, Marza Payne and Susie Slaughter. So, Marzi and Suze are still, they were in my wedding. They were, lifelong friends. And to see where we all end up and encourage each other, like Marzi, she's a lawyer and she works with Navajo Nation. She's out there right now helping with
Just
lost
advocate, right?
women. Yeah,
Yeah.
like Native women, like they're one of the largest populations of missing and unfound people, because they don't register, them because of being Native. And, the advocacy for them, like, is devastating. And to see, like, Marcy's this little tiny woman with this huge, beautiful outreach and personality, and to see how much she does in the community and how much I respect her. She started roller derby when she was in her 40s, so she decided to come out and, like, do it.
Oh yeah, it's grown ass women out there.
Yeah, grown. And it was like, seeing her and seeing how inspiring this little spitfire of a woman is, and how strongly she fights for her community, and how she goes to bat. And like some of these, um the one hospital, like, didn't have paved roads, they didn't have running water, some of their population had the highest cancer rates because of, and to see her advocating for natives and being able to make a difference, like, how do you not get inspired with that?
And also the highest suicide rate for that demographic as well.
I mean, right. I mean, she's done so much work. Like, I have so much respect for her. And Susie, she became a nurse as well, and she's a legal nurse. So she works in urgent care and she does a legal nursing, seeing Susie's brilliant, and the
And
woman
she's
can do
also a CPA,
finances.
right?
I was going to say she also does finances. She used to be, do accounting, and she, like, the woman, you look at her and you see the spreadsheets like rolling through her eyes like the Matrix, like these two ladies, like, and to say energy, like Susie could run, like, I don't know that actually she probably doesn't lay still when she sleeps. I mean, she's that kind of person. And that's just two of them. I actually, one of my pals that we used to work with in the ER. So she was there before me. I met her through roller derby, and then we worked together. So it was like, it's such an amazing,
Give
Yeah.
her a shout out. Give her a shout out.
reckless endangerment. Yes,
Reckless just had a
she,
baby.
yeah, she just
She
had
was
a
a
baby.
ER. She was an ER nurse supervisor. She was also a volunteer scuba diver at the National Aquarium and fed the
Yeah.
sharks.
Hmm.
And these are wild women, man.
I
Yeah.
mean, really,
Yeah.
just, I think the biggest thing is, though, is celebrating your uniqueness and your strength. So it's not
Yeah.
about being a quiet woman that stays at home and cooks and makes sure your house is clean. And if that's your gig, you are awesome. I probably need some direction from you. But those historical stereotypes, or
Right.
like saying a woman's too loud, like, or too much of something, right? You're too much, this, that, or
Or
the
a
other.
man telling a woman how to be
Mhm.
ladylike. Like, how
Mhm.
you know? What do you?
Right.
What do you like? What are we talking about? I
Correct. But
can be. I am a lady. This
right.
is ladylike.
Right. This is like how it is. I'm sitting with my legs. I have
That's a good
pants on.
point.
However, I want. Right.
Yeah. And I'm not asking for anything, actually. So, having that encouragement of being strong and it being sexy as hell, to have a big
Right.
round ass or a flat tight ass, or having abs, or having extra, or having big
Right.
tits or small tits, or whatever tits you have or you don't have, tattoos, or no tattoos, short hair, long hair. It
Right.
was it was such a nice celebration, like, I think that was the part that you didn't realize that you got along the way, and you got
Yeah.
exposed to people that looked different than you, that smelled different than you, that enjoyed different foods, or vegan, or super
Right.
meat, and it was like seeing people pursue whatever they were interested in because they were encouraged to be who
Yeah.
they are. finding yourself and pursuing that, set apart from anything that you may have previously been told. And that was the most beautiful encouragement. So that for me, again, personally, not only have I made like lifelong friends that,
Right.
I still find inspiring and amazing today. Like I found encouragement. Like I had always wanted to be a nurse, but I didn't have the timing. I didn't have the self-esteem. I didn't have the commitment.
Right.
And, what this did for me was it was like a life journey, like I
Yeah.
found the encouragement to be who I was. I
Yep.
believe that like if I can strap roller skates on and go fly to the West Coast and beat the shit out of people and have people scream and celebrate for me, I think I can probably go to
I
school
can
and
do
teach
this.
classes, like I can try
Right.
that out.
So like
Yeah.
on that comment, and Quita, I like what you said about I am a lady, so whatever I do is ladylike. I appreciate that comment, right? That's deep. And Brandy, you talked about earlier how it was therapy. Obviously, you live in Baltimore. We live in Baltimore. Some people's therapy is hitting a dirt bike, right? Some
Right.
people's therapy is fighting, right?
Right.
We know personally, we know an international fighter who's part of the family that he found the proper outlet. So I kind of want to talk about that. Like we have we have ways of expressing ourselves that out of context can be very inappropriate, or society has labeled it as or created a space where it's inappropriate, right? So like the dirt bike, can't own a dirt bike in Baltimore. But that's someone's therapy. You can't fight in school, but you take them down to Umar or Upton boxing, and now these
Right.
kids, like you said, can be celebrated. So I think it's
Right.
important to talk about the therapy side, like you were able to engage in behavior that may have otherwise seemed inappropriate.
Sorry.
Well, so when she comes
Pet.
back, but I'd like her to talk about that because it's very important that we are able to express ourselves naturally, not express ourselves the way someone tells us to, right? Like they'll like some when I was a kid and I went through stuff, they're like, oh, you have to talk to a therapist. I don't want to talk to a therapist, but there's other things I can do to
Right.
process the trauma, to process whatever. Um, so the significance, I guess if you have any comments on the significance of being able to express yourself naturally, violently, in the right context, and like you said, I mean, I think you already spoken to it. You were inspired, you were encouraged.
But the
That's important.
interesting thing was it sounds like when you were in it, Brandy, you recognized that, oh, I'm accepted as me. That's so cool. But now almost reflecting back, you're like, it was everybody. Everybody was there and everybody was welcome. Like you knew it then because it was like I'm accepted. But now you're, oh, everybody was accepted. Like whoever showed up was like welcomed, and having a safe space, and not even necessarily like-minded individuals in this case, right? Because everybody's from all these different backgrounds, but we don't have to be like-minded. Like we just showed up for each other, and that was enough. So, like to your point, Chap, I think that part is beautiful because all these different backgrounds, colors, creeds, types, and duh, yeah, we can all get along, especially a whole bunch of women. Like, come on.
Mm,
I loved it.
right.
Tell us about it.
I think that again, like right now, whether hot topic or whatever, I think, we see in the news right now a lot of stuff about trans athletes and things like this. And for me, like I've played against trans athletes, and it was a hell of fun. I never felt like I was going to have any kind of, anything, right, exactly. And it was as much fun to beat ass of someone that was straight, cisgender, whatever, versus what have you, and I didn't feel any kind of threat. I didn't feel like, oh, this is someone that's going to infringe upon. Like, no, this is another person strapped skates on that came out, and let's do it, And I had a blast. I had a blast, and it was like, for me, it was anybody that was trying to have fun and like be competitive. I'm very competitive, Um, I don't love running, never have. But you give me somebody to chase, I'm down. Like something clicks on my, my what is that, bird brain kind of thing, that dinosaur. I'm like, oh, get him. And like I loved it. I mean, I haven't found anything physically that inspired me as much. And when I did retire from Derby, I was, it was funny because Brett Favre and I have the same birthday. I retired and then went back and retired again. Yeah, it's one of them things you're like, I love it. I can't. I love it. I got to do something. Oh God, there's only so much me. But it also
And
encouraged me to like try new things, push myself out of my comfort zone, right? Because I went to that tryout. I literally borrowed somebody's skates from, I don't remember where they were. They were pregnant, so they had a pair of skates I could borrow, that they weren't using. I went to their house, so I didn't spend money on skates. I was sick as hell to my stomach because I was super nervous. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die because I'm doing something. And like nobody else that I knew was doing it. Nobody else tried out. Like I went by myself
Right.
to an
Right.
intro, to this place with all these other women. And like when I walked in, I was like, I don't know anybody here. Like my pal Flo Shizzle, she had this wild curly hair and she like had booty shorts on. And, you know, I don't know this lady. And here she is like doing her thing. We had a lady from Australia who was like almost 6 feet tall, who was lean and strong, and she hit like a brick wall, and it was amazing. I just wanted to listen to her accent, and I'm like, oh, I think she may have actually just dislocated that woman's shoulder over there, but she sounds really amazing doing it.
Right. Your
You
voice
know,
is beautiful.
and, right? But it was like it was such a fun time. And it had such a space, like Dave was saying, or Chap was saying, sorry, it's such a good place to be able to be a part of something that's other than just you and to celebrate something
Absolutely.
unique. Like I'm not
Absolutely.
always going to be the girl that wants to do what every other girl wants to do or what I'm told to do. And in fact, like I can't help myself, you know what I mean? I have
I
a
almost
really
want to do the opposite because you told me to do it. Like, blame my
not the
father. I
most.
know it's him. Like,
that's ladylike.
yeah,
Yeah.
hello, hello. I mean, nothing exciting happens to somebody that listens to everything that they're like, come on.
Right. I mean, there's that thing that says, no well-behaved woman ever made history.
That part too. Hello.
Like you look at that and it's like being able to celebrate that and being unique, I think people are misunderstood, oh, she's violent because she likes, like I curse a lot.
Me
I grew up
too.
in that. And like
Me too.
it's funny, like my mother-in-law hates my favorite word and she doesn't even hear when I say it, but if Dave says the word, she's like, David. And I'm like, you know, but
Totally my
legitimately,
fault, right? And
it's
your
so
favorite
funny.
word is probably a word I use like a comma. We're not gonna, yeah.
Same.
But go ahead.
But it's like it's really funny because some people get intimidated, and where I
Oh,
work, again, I work in an ER setting and overnight, and people get intimidated by people and they think, oh my gosh, they've said that word and they're so loud and they're so scary, and I'm like, like, come on, like,
right. That's your problem, not mine. Bye.
right. What's about you and what's not about you? Why are you scared? Like, what are
Mhm.
like, where do you have to do? Do you have to
Right.
change somebody? Do you have to intervene? Does this have something to do with you? Like, is it affecting you? And then mind your business. Go on. You know what I mean? And if somebody likes something that's different, some people like fighting, right? Like, they do. They're championship boxers. Wonderful. Good for them. They found an outlet. They found something that they like. Now, do we condone going out and beating the hell out of each other in the street and whatever? No. But in an appropriate space, being an
Right.
athlete
In a
and
controlled
pursuing that,
environment.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Do it,
Right.
like there's nothing wrong with that. Some of us like to sit at home and read books. Good for you. You can sit still and do that. Fantastic. We're not going to be the same. And like that's the thing, It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that somebody that sits at home and reads a book isn't going to be like like how many crazy people do we know? Like, no offense to the book readers out there, because I'm one of them, but you know, how many people do we know that could have been serial killers that were sitting at home quietly behaving and following what they were supposed to do?
Right.
you can't just always put somebody in a box and think that this is what it looks like, you know?
Right? But
I
that's
want
the thing. Putting people in a box makes them comfortable.
I
Like,
want to comment,
go ahead, Chap.
Quita. So our age, we're familiar with Wes Craven, right? Nightmare on Elm Street. We're familiar with Marilyn Manson. So when Brandy's comment about that, the ones at home, obeying all the orders, and my example is, and people our generation understand this. Wes Craven and Marilyn Manson are two examples of people who came from very strict Christian homes. They were only allowed, like Marilyn Manson to the extreme, was only allowed as a child, allegedly, from what I've read, to watch rated G movies and Disney movies until the time he was 18. So these are environments these guys grew up in, and look how the other side of the extreme they went to when they expressed themselves, right?
Right.
Marilyn Manson was very much like the Dennis Rodman of music, right? Just
Mhm.
wow, right? But he came from a strict, sit in the corner and read, quiet, allegedly quiet Christian home, as well as Wes
Mhm.
Craven. So you've kind of tried to bottle up and contain this person inside, and so when they finally get out, they take their lifestyle and their art to the extreme.
Right. I mean, but to some extent, like I think our experiences make us, right?
Mhm.
And then there's also our trauma that forms a lot of our habits, right?
Mhm.
But then there's also like this nature and nurture. Like,
Mhm.
so there's nature, nurture, but we're all different people. We all have
Mhm.
personalities. And sometimes it doesn't matter what the background is. Like you said, like you can snap or, find yourself being a psycho, so to speak. And you have siblings, and none of the siblings have these same ailments. You were raised in the same home. You know what? We just never know. So I think more than anything, like I like to tell my niece who's 4, don't yuck my yum. Like, regardless of what it is, if we're talking about clothing, if we're talking about food, if we're talking about friends, the way something is said, whatever it is, don't yuck my yum. Like, this is a welcoming environment. Everything's allowed, right? Like, just to be comfortable. Okay, Chap. Thanks for coming back. Welcome. hmm So, Brandy, tell me more about what you're doing or anything that you're doing now. Like, what replaced that habit? Because at some point, that was a lot of your time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, since then, you okay. So now you're an ER nurse. So at some point, you might have replaced it with school, and now did you replace it with work? Like, what are you doing now? What's up?
So, I used to skate a lot. I ended up being the captain of our travel team. I was on wheels a lot. Like, sometimes I would be skating as much as 5 to 6 times a week for hours. Yeah, I loved it, you know. And again, I decided to go back to school. I went and got my associate's degree, my bachelor's degree, and then my master's degree. So, um, yeah, not nearly as fun as roller derby, believe me, but means to an end, and I love being a nurse. I do. As we all know, our pandemic and what have I done? I've been an emergency nurse, and I've also volunteered at our biocontainment unit. So those are the types of things that I've been doing. Um, I did nursing education, so I was teaching baby nurses to be nurses, which was, very fulfilling. Um, and I stepped out of that, when the pandemic came about because of all the restrictions and things. And again, you can't put baby in the corner. I really enjoy teaching all the things. And when we had to have restrictions and you can't, do this and you can't do that, I was like, yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I want to teach them reality and what nursing really looks like. And
Well, you,
um,
you used the word earlier. You said launched, right? So I think a lot of the energy, Quita, and from me observing her and my perspective again, um, as a life partner, man, like the she emerged from roller derby so inspired and encouraged, and so much of her spirit was on fire that propelled her into her studies as a nurse. It propelled her into becoming a dog trainer as a hobby, but really good at it. And that fire still burns in her from that experience. Where as hard as she hit the track and hit the wheels, that's how hard she takes care of Baltimore now as a nurse. Like she's been to this what they call it in Atlanta, the CCD, whatever. She's been down there training for biocontainment. She's been to other hospitals teaching people how to handle COVID. She is in Baltimore overnights on the weekends, patching people up and loving them. And again, as she spoke about the experience of diversity in roller derby, she embraced that culture in the hospital because there's such a diversity of broken people that come in. It's very similar. Like hearing you talk about it makes me think about that, how similar your experience actually is in that context, because you can literally anybody can be in the hospital at any time, and she has been primed to be just to serve them well without any kind of discrimination or pre bias, right?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful point, Chap. Like, especially the surface aspect of it, right? Like, anybody can come into the ER and you might be cursing or something in the back, but everybody is going to get help. Everybody is going to get triaged and get what they need. This is a no judgment zone and also a safe space for healing, literally, not just figuratively, right? So I think continuing those shared spaces and safe spaces is kind of a theme throughout like our lives. And I love that, we continue to cultivate those kinds of conversations. So I would love for you guys to come out to walk with a doc once you recover from your trip. Come out there, right?
No, we're there. We're there.
No, it was very the last one that we did with you guys was great. Got to bring the dogs, hang out with people. It was very cold, which
and it has been very cold, which is mind blowing.
I'm not loving this, but the older I get, the harder the cold is on my poor soul. But yeah, it was great. It was great to be out there and hear people wanting to do something better.
Yeah.
Eat better, more mobility, just
Yeah.
and just be uplifted,
Yeah.
for whatever it is, like when we brought the family out. How do you not feel good about it? Like the kids were both like, "Ugh, not getting up that early," and we're like, "Come on, guys!" And then at the end, they're like, "All right, glad we did it." And you're like, "Duh," And like
Yeah.
that's the thing, like the
It is.
hardest part is going. It's not
Right.
doing
The
it,
hardest
it's
part is
getting there.
actually getting there. Because once you're there, you're like, these are
Yeah.
my people. I'm
Mhm.
comfortable. This is cool. Like, let's walk
Mhm.
around this lake. It has been cold, though. So if you do
Mm.
come, wear layers so that you can take it off because it's weird. It's like you hit this one corner and it's like a pocket of heat and then it's freezing the rest of the time. So, yeah, so that's super cool. I'm
You
so
do
glad
love it.
that we got you back on and you were on for Women's History Month.
As
And
well.
you were able to
Yay!
share your Derby experience, like
Yeah, thank you.
phone.com.
I had a lot of fun. It was a very special time. I don't know that things are still, thriving after COVID. I think it really affected things negatively. And, truth be told, I would always love to still strap my skates on and get back out there every now and again.
Well, she did
Okay,
because
Tom
some of the
Brady.
girls got together for a skate party at Skateland, and
We did
and
skate. It was
we were
great.
there. Yeah.
I it's something about putting wheels on and skating and like having the wind blow on your hair and on your face, of like self-generated, propelling or whatever. Like
Yes.
it's so much
Yeah.
whimsical, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. I don't know. For
You
me,
can
I'm like,
skate.
ooh,
You can come out and skate on Sunday mornings at 9 around the lake with us.
well, maybe I
Oh,
will.
yeah. Bring in skates. That would be really cool. I skate like a deer on ice. Like, my sisters literally skate circles around me. My partner
It's
literally
rude.
skates.
It is. I'm
Everybody.
with you.
I'm like an old lady. I'm like, oh, let me get to the corner. Give me one of those little things to help. Look, I'm gonna be on the sideline drinking a soda or something. Okay.
I will tell you, as a kid, there was, again, Miss Jackie, God bless her, down in Gardenville
Gardenville
skating.
Road. Miss Jackie's still
I
working.
felt, yep, she was a beautiful, beautiful woman. Miss Jackie was tall, and she wasn't a little waif of a woman, and she was one of the first ladies that I looked at. I was like, she's magical, and she was so inspiring.
I love that. Oh, it looks like if she was on her phone, she might have gotten a call or
Oh, it's
something.
okay. Well, it's
Yep,
almost time for Robert.
it
Robert
is. It
report.
is.
All right.
All
Well,
right, so we can go ahead and wrap up, Chap. I'm glad that you guys are back and you are safe, and we'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel, Monday at 7.
that's right. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, we can see you guys Sunday morning, Lake Montebello, 9 a.m.
Thanks for the plug. So good at that. Bye.